What's up, everybody? Franco here from Franc Analysis. If you watched my 3 videos that I did about 2 weeks ago, I discussed what is going on with MPP. I had a video before that also discussed the fallout between MPP and Our Revolution Los Angeles. But I had volunteers on who were a part of a petition group that they were ex-volunteers for MPP, and they were discussing about concerns that they had. And I also talked to Jackson Hinkle because he had on a member of leadership in MPP, Eynelys Garcia, who was who was addressing some of the claims that people were making about that petition, and also claims that people from Our Revolution Los Angeles were making. So I'm going to discuss more of that here today because I reached out to leadership within MPP. I reached out to Brana, I reached out to Eynelys, and I reached out to the Movement for a People's Party Twitter page, and I emailed them, and they all rejected me. So we're going to get into that. But first, please make sure you hit that subscribe button, like this video, and share this video so you can help independent media grow. And also, make sure you follow me on Rockfin. You can sign up and create a free account. Subscribing to my channel for $10 a month also really helps. You don't have to subscribe to my channel. You can also subscribe to other independent content creators on there, and then you can get the premium content of everybody who is on Rockfin. YouTube has officially demonetized me, so the best way that you can support me is by following me in alternative platforms like Rockfin, like Odyssey, or donating to any of the links that are below. Let me begin by saying that I know that this is going to be some of the things I'm going to say here today it's going to be hard for a lot of people to hear and process, and I understand, because for a lot of you, Movement for a People's Party was a glimmer of hope in taking down the duopoly. And it's hard when you hear about people being upset with the way that the way that this movement was organized and the mistreatment that a lot of these volunteers were faced. There's over 200 people who signed that petition who are saying that leadership is not listening to them. There's a lot of disorganization with the strategy for how to gain ballot access in all the states because the rules are different in all the states. The way that you reach out to people is going to be different in other states, and there's no organization there. The way that a lot of these volunteers are treated is very bad. A lot of members are getting kicked out very impulsively, even though evidence was presented to me of how they were victims in the Slack or in the Discord. And then the abusers that are in the Discord and in the Slack don't get kicked out of MPP, and they get kicked out entirely without a trial, without an investigation. A lot of the abusers who are in the Slack and the Discord are racist. They get removed after putting in hours and hours of work, trying to organize on the ground, having meetings online. The petitioners are not getting financial transparency about MPP. And I'll go into more detail with that later on in this video. And also, I went into detail with it in my previous videos. And these over 200 petitioners don't include a bunch of the other people who left. And there's hundreds of other people who left before that or a little bit after that didn't sign the petition. And I'm hearing from multiple people, okay? When there's problems with the Democratic Party or the Republican Party or any other organization, we have to hear from the people and not just people who are in positions of leadership. If you're only listening to people who are in positions of leadership, then that's being biased. And it's not like I'm only reaching out to these volunteers who are not in positions of leadership. I also reached out to leadership. And if you are still in MPP and you are a volunteer and you're happy with how things are going, you're invited to the show. I haven't come across anybody like that, but you're invited. Please come on the show and talk to me about your experience. But please remember, okay, so these problems have to be addressed, and I'm here addressing them. All right. I know people have an emotional attachment to this party, but please be assured all hope is not lost. Okay, if things don't succeed with MPP, which it looks like it's likely that they won't, but regardless of what happens, we're all still here. There's millions of people who are sick and tired of the system that we have. There's millions of people who have so much potential for being radicalized and seeing truths about the system and joining us in this movement. And the movement is not MPP. They can be a part of the movement, but they are not the movement. Same thing with Bernie Sanders. And sometimes we outgrow these people that have too many blind spots and they don't want to acknowledge those blind spots, or who don't want to grow themselves. And just because we realize that some of these movements or some of these people that we were supporting, like Bernie Sanders, just because we realize that they're not the way forward, it doesn't mean that the movement's no longer going to grow. We're still going to grow. I'm still here. And everything doesn't always have to be about electoral politics. In fact, outside public pressure and public organizing is more powerful. Did Martin Luther King and MLK and Malcolm X and people during the civil rights movements, were they only focused on trying to build a third party? Or were they organizing outside of electoral politics? And that's what we're going to do. We're going to keep doing that. We're going to organize events just like Convo Couch and Slow News Day and Action for Assange, just like they're doing, just like Jackson Hinkle did with Force to Vote. And these movements are going to keep coalescing. The more that we talk, the more that these people like me who have channels give platforms to organizers, that'll keep happening. Okay, so don't feel disheartened. Don't feel so heartbroken with MPP. Because we are still here, we are still strong, and we will be united. All right, no matter what happens, we will be united. And I also want to say, I was also very hopeful. I was also feeling attached to Movement for a People's Party. I had a lot of faith in them. I mean, a lot of us watch channels like Jimmy Dore, Lee Camp, and Graham Elwood who are amping up Movement for a People's Party. Jimmy Dore still says that we're building a third party. But again, Jimmy Dore, he's not focused on what's happening within the party structure. Okay, he's focused on informing people about mainstream media bullshit, about addressing some critiques that people like Cenk Uygur have of him or other people on the synthetic left. And that's fine. That's his role that Jimmy's serving. Guys, I love Jimmy Dore. I have his back. And you guys know I have his back. I had his back during Force to Vote. I've had his back long before that. And that doesn't mean that he's always going to be right. With Movement for a People's Party, he has some blind spots. He's not seeing what's happening within the movement. But people who have an eye on it, or people who are bringing people on, who are ex-volunteers who have experienced these problems, are going to address those concerns, and then eventually it'll reach Jimmy. And in a way, people like me are looking out for Jimmy, because I don't want him to be propping up a party that's going to fail, and then the synthetic left like Sam Cedar and all those other fake leftists are going to be using that against Jimmy. I don't want that to happen. But it's up for people who are focused on other issues, who are focused on organizing, or to be addressing the imperfections and some serious problems that are within movements like Movement for a People's Party. And channels like mine are going to be hearing them out, especially when other channels like Lee Camp are only bringing on Nick Brana to address these claims. And what we're supposed to take Nick Brana's word for it, like everything's okay just because he said it. He's in a position of leadership. He's going to be biased. And if you're going to be representing the people who you're supposed to be fighting for, like people like Lee Camp, who I still love and who I think still does good work, but he's, just like everybody else, no one's perfect. He has blind spots. Lee Camp needs to also talk to working class people who are ex-volunteers, who are not happy with what happened with MPP. So in theory, do I support a third party? Absolutely. But that third party has to evolve from post-partisan activism that unites people of all kinds. It can't just be disenfranchised Bernie supporters, which is what it appears like MPP is. Look, think about this, guys. What has MPP done ever since the convention? The convention where they had like Jimmy Dore and all these other YouTube celebrities and progressive celebrities speak, like Cornel West, Tina Turner. What has MPP done ever since then? Like, what have you heard them do that was something big, like something impactful, something that, like them organizing? What have they done? In order for them to be a third party that's going to successfully take down the duopoly, they should be making the world turn upside down right now. They should be making so much noise right now. They should be showing how dangerous they are to the ruling class. But they're not doing that. They're not uniting people from all factions. Again, they're only uniting people like us who are disenfranchised Bernie supporters from 2016. We're in 2021 now. 2024 is going to be around the corner. Like, we're running out of time for them to be a big enough party to take down the duopoly. And no, I am not at all suggesting that the alternative is to keep voting for Democrats and to reform the Democratic Party. I don't want you guys to take that away from here, from this conversation that we're having here. That's not an option either. Electoral politics in general, I don't think it's not the answer. You can't reform the Democratic Party, but through public pressure, through public organizing, you can reform the system and you can reform society entirely. Okay, we need to unite with some of the conservatives and help increase their raise their consciousness so that they can understand, so that we can wake them up from partisanship, from the two-party illusion. A third party has to evolve from organizing and the coalescence of different movements that are upset with the system, because there's so many of us that are upset with the system. It's not just disenfranchised Bernie supporters. It has to unite people in the election integrity movement, the civil liberties movement, the anti-war movement, the whistleblower movement, workers' rights movements, etc., etc., etc. Okay, and that goes beyond just disenfranchised Bernie supporters. There's a lot of people who are in these movements that I just listed, and there's plenty more that I didn't list. There's plenty of people who are activists who don't participate in electoral politics. But again, if this third party evolves from the coalescence of things like that, then they start becoming aware of some problems like election integrity and how the system is rigged against third parties. And then there's a more concrete strategy for how to address that to more people. And so that we can apply public pressure to the current system that we have so that it changes, so that it's more fair for third parties. But MPP, and I said this in my debate with Ian from Epic Philosophy, moderated by Zach and Gavin from the Vanguard, I said MPP is just a party that put the cart before the horse. It evolved from a movement that wanted to draft Bernie Sanders for a third party. And now we are discovering more and more people who have worked within the party, putting tireless hours of work trying to help the party. They're leaving it because of this organization. Okay, and they started a petition. And again, for more information on the concerns that these people raised, I had volunteer Joe Charest on. I had ex-volunteer Renee Johnston on. I've had a bunch of other people on who've had experiences with Nick Brana and the party. And I'm going to have more people on. And again, I'm not just looking at one side. I will have, if you're a volunteer who's happy with MPP and is still in there, you're invited on. Okay, so here's the petition. Okay, and I'm going to scroll down here for people to read. And I'm also going to put a link to it in the description. Okay, but this addresses all the concerns that people had with transparency, democracy, the organizing and efficacy, authenticity, accountability. All right, so look at this for yourself. This is something that when Eynelys went on Jackson Hinkle's show, they did not look at the petition. They did not look at it line by line and address these concerns. And if you want to be fair, and if you want to bring Eynelys on your show or Nick Brana on your show, then bring also volunteers. And I give credit to Jackson, because when I had him on my show, he said that he fully supports having Eynelys or Nick Brana on with some of these ex-volunteers so that they can make amends, right? I still want MPP to succeed. But a lot of these concerns have to be addressed. So let me show you guys the message that I sent Nick Brana, because I had ex-volunteers on, and to be fair, like I should bring on the leadership also, right? Or again, people who are still in the party or who are still in the movement, who are volunteers, who are happy with things, you're welcomed on the show. But Nick Brana, who I've had on the show before, but it wasn't because of I invited him and he came on. It was because we were in the same place in DC during Force to Vote, during the protests. I had my camera on because I was streaming the event, and I came across him, and then I asked him questions about MPP. Okay, and he answered those questions. You can check out that video. I asked him a couple questions that other people have not asked him before when he goes on their show. So I said, "Hello, Nick. I just had my friend Jackson Hinkle and a few former MPP members on my show to discuss concerns raised about the party. I'd love to have you on my show to further address some of these concerns. Would you like to come on my show sometime in the second week of March? Hope all is well, Franco." And then on February 22nd, 2021, he left me on scene. And as of the day of this recording, on March 7th, 2021, at 6:59 p.m. Eastern Time, he has not responded to me. I also reached out to Eynelys Garcia, who was on Jackson Hinkle's show, and following that, people were saying that she was lying. I had those people on to address those claims about why they're lying, why they're saying that she's lying. Again, these are things that happened after her appearance on Jackson's show, and so I'm giving her a chance to come on and address that. So I said, "Hello, Eynelys. My name is Franco. I host a show called Franc Analysis on YouTube and Rockfin. I just had my friend Jackson Hinkle and a few former MPP members on my show to discuss concerns raised about the party. I'd love to have you on my show to further address some of these concerns. Would you like to come on my show sometime in the second week of March?" She responded. Unlike Nick Brana, and she said, "Hey Franco, thanks for reaching out. I appreciate the invite, but I've already put out a statement and done an interview on this topic. But I encourage you to reach out to MPP leadership for further comments. They're the best people to give you the most up-to-date information on the party. Again, thank you for reaching out." And I said, "Thanks for responding. What are the names of the leadership I can contact for the concerns that were raised after the interview you had with Jackson?" So she said, "I would say the best way is to reach out to MPP directly, and they will connect you with whomever the right person is." And I said, "To their email and or Twitter DMs?" She said, "Not sure. I would say reach out on both, just in case. You can go to their website for contact information or contact them on Twitter. Hope I helped. Have a good day." I said, "Okay, sounds good." But upon preparing for this video, when I was reviewing these messages, I see this thing right here. You can no longer send messages to this person. So I went to her profile and I see that I'm blocked by her. I was pretty civil with her in that conversation in the DMs. I didn't say anything mean about her, like in my videos. At least I don't think I did when I had people on. You guys can review those for yourselves. But why would she block me? You guys can look through my Twitter and stuff. Like, you can see I did not ever say anything mean about her or to her. Finally, I reached out to the Movement for a People's Party Twitter page, which is at People's Party USA. I said, "Hello, People's Party. My name is Franco. I host a show called Franc Analysis on YouTube and Rockfin. I just had my friend Jackson Hinkle and a few former MPP members on my show to discuss concerns raised about the party. I'd love to have a member on my show to further address some of these concerns. Is there a current MPP member or leadership representative who would like to come on my show sometime in the second week of March?" And then they said, "Hi, Franco. We have communicated with those involved, released statements, and given a couple of interviews on this topic, but are not interested in publicly addressing it further. Movement for a People's Party volunteers are working our daily hard daily to build this movement into a party, and I'm sure you understand how difficult that is. We are dedicated to forward momentum and upholding our mission. Our many supporters are counting on us to create a viable alternative to the corporate duopoly. We hope to connect with you in the future as we continue to build the party. That was on February 25th. I mean, wouldn't coming on the show and addressing these concerns that were raised again after the claims that the statements that were made by them and by Eynelys and by Nick when he went on Lee Camp's show, when Nick went on Lee Camp's show, these are concerns that were raised after, saying that there's no consistency with what these ex-volunteers are saying and what Nick Brana and Eynelys are saying. Why not come on my show to address that, so that people can have more confidence in you? If you're truly are, authentic about what you guys are saying. So another thing that I will say that Nick and Eynelys were saying, and that the people whose shows they were on were buying into at the time, was that that there's infiltrators in the party. Well, that may be true, because there's been a history of infiltrators in leftist movements, but where's the evidence that the petitioners and some of the volunteers who I've had on my show, where's the evidence that those people are infiltrators? We can't, it could be true, but where is the evidence that it is true? We don't know that for sure. We can't say that objectively. So where's the evidence that there's infiltrators? And why would these infiltrators be trying to push the party to the left, or to push the party to be more authentic and to be more representative of the people? Because the biggest complaint that people have is that it's not truly representative of the people. There's not really a democracy within the movement. So why would infiltrators be wanting a more authentic party? Like, they want to know where the money is going. When Renee Johnston was on my show, she said that Eynelys claimed on Jackson's show that the petitioners were demanding a financial working group and that it already existed at the time. And she was trying to say that the petitioners were uninformed or being unreasonable. However, the petitioners never asked for a financial working group. They asked for financial transparency with periodic detailed financial reports published. Yet despite this, Eynelys kept repeating on Jackson's show that the petitioners kept demanding for something that already existed. But again, that is not what they were asking for. And on MPP's website, they still don't give detailed information about their financial situation. There is a link to the IRS, but that doesn't tell people directly where their money that they donate is going. And it might well be going to good causes that help the party grow in a way that's going to fight for the people. But the thing is, there has to be transparency. People have to know exactly where their money, like their $5, $10, $20 that they donate, is going to go in the party. Where is that money going to go? It's not enough to say, like when Nick was on Lee Camp's show, it's not enough to say that, oh, look, Nick, he has all these scratches on his car, and and joking about how sarcastically that he lives in a mansion, even though again, they're being sarcastic. Nick doesn't actually live in a mansion, but joking like that, that doesn't address exactly where the money is going. Like, we're not saying that Nick is hoarding it for himself. People just want to know where their money is going to be used. Now, you guys know I call out the synthetic left. People like Cenk Uygur and TYT and Sam Cedar, people like Vosh. But I know those people are not on our side, and I said that in my video. Lee Camp, Jimmy Dore, everybody who's propping up MPP, I don't see them as my enemy at all. We're on the same side. I see them as my friends and people who I admire, who I look up to. But when your teammates are having blind spots on certain things and you want them to improve, you're gonna let them know so that they can improve. Because you don't want them to fail. I don't want Jimmy Dore to fail. I don't want Lee Camp to fail. I don't even want MPP to fail. But when I'm seeing all these problems arising and seeing that it might be a dead end for people and that people are going to spend their energy on something that's going to fail, then I'm going to be sounding the alarm. It would be irresponsible of me if I didn't raise this, if I didn't say anything. Okay, you guys know I care about you. I care about this movement. And no matter what happens, we're gonna be strong, we're gonna be united, and we will take down the duopoly. It might not be in your lifetime, but that doesn't mean we can't accomplish a lot during our lifetime. We will continue to build communities online and on the ground. We will continue to expose the synthetic left to raise people's consciousness, to guide them back on the right path and not a misguided one. We will keep organizing and we will be united, right? I will discuss this topic more. I'm going to be having some more ex-volunteers on for panel discussion. And again, if you're a volunteer within MPP and you're happy with how MPP is functioning, you are invited on. Please tell me about your experience. Okay? Thank you all very much. I love you all, and stay informed.